Alright, we seem to be ready. Felissa just did a speedrun in tech issue percent co-op run with Pazzy. But she's ready now, so take it away.
Alright, hello everybody, this is Fast RMX. Hopefully I'll be going fast. So yeah, can you give me a countdown? Alright, so I haven't played this game for a while. Should be fine, honestly. So, Fast RMX, the sequel to Fast Racing Neo that was on Wii U. Sequel to Fast Racing League on WiiWare. There's a lot of boosting going on here. There's some effects to make everything look faster. It's all fancy and stuff. So the main thing I'm going to be trying to do in this run is hitting boost orbs in the air, because when you collect the boost orb in the air, it gives you a lot more speed for some reason. And in the air, you also lose a lot of speed, so generally I want to boost when I land, just to mitigate that speed loss from landing. There's also these boost pads. I'm gonna try to hit them in the right color. If you hit them in the wrong color, they'll slow you down instead of speeding you up. I missed all of those, that's really bad. Okay, I'm gonna save these boost orbs, so I'm losing some speed here from landing, but hopefully this will allow me to grab a boost orb while still being airborne at this point. I barely missed, unfortunately. Even if you're just about to land, as long as you're still technically airborne, it's fine to grab them and still get extra energy from them. Oh, there we go. You see, like, those 2 or 3 that I grabbed right there just filled up my boost bar completely, as opposed to just a tiny bit, like it would normally do. Yeah, that's the main thing here, is keeping your boost going for as long as possible. Right there, I did land on it, so that's good, and now we just boost until the end. Alright, so we're going to be using Spark Unlimited because it has the best boost, and boosting is very powerful in this game. There's a few more vehicles that are semi-good. Mueller PLS is very good on lower speed settings. This is hyperspeed. There's also, or hypersonic rather. There's also subsonic and supersonic. On those, you might be better off with Mueller PLS, or on subsonic, maybe even the Bliss. It's not a bad vehicle by any means, but it's a lot heavier, which means it turns a lot harder, and it does lose some more speed from turning, unfortunately. That being said, it does have a higher top speed than Spark, and since you don't get as much boost in lower speed settings, that's kind of a shame. Thankfully, this game is respawn, so it's pretty safe. But yeah, since you get less boost, it's more important to have, or more important than in Hyper, than to have higher top speed, although Spark is still very, very strong on lower speed settings. There's also the acceleration stats, but generally I don't really pay much attention to it. It's mostly important in online multiplayer, because people can just like bump into you, spin you out, and lose you a lot of speed, and then it'll be nice to get back up to full speed. Otherwise, it barely really matters. So the way boosting works in this game is when you tap the button, or when you hold it, it'll keep going for a while. So even if I tap it for like just a few frames, it'll always go for this length right there. It's kind of a bummer sometimes, because sometimes I just want to do like a very short boost and it'll keep going. Like I want to have a tiny bit of boost for when I land, but instead it just keeps boosting right until my boost has run out. But that's just something you have to get used to. You have to anticipate the boost lasting a bit longer, and then you can just press the boost button a bit earlier, or just hold it for a bit shorter. So this game is very similar to Fast Racing Neo. It also shares some of the same tracks that were added later in a update called the Remix Update, version 1.3. And that also fixed a lot of the skips. So this is playing on the patched version. There's some boost orbs in the air there. Very, very difficult to hit.
Only 2 laps to go.
But yeah, this game used to have some like crazy shortcuts where you can, if you die at the right point, you would respawn further on in the track, or just general like crazy shortcuts. There's also a technique called side dashing. It was extremely powerful in Fast Racing Neo. It kind of still works in this game, but it's not quite as crazy. Generally, you'll use it to accelerate a bit quicker, although on hypersonic, it's a marginal speed increase compared to just normal driving. On subsonic, I definitely use it at times when we're playing online multiplayer. The sad thing about online multiplayer is that you can only face subsonic speed, not hypersonic. That's been a complaint since Fast Racing Neo, and they didn't implement it for this game, unfortunately. You're gonna be seeing this screen a lot. It's actually pretty good. Like, that screen is pretty fast to get through. I don't remember if the PB screen is actually a bit faster. It might be. Actually, yeah, that is a thing. It's like a second or two faster to get a PB, but basically you would have to set up a new file for every run. And then you have to unlock everything on that new file. Because you have to unlock hypersonic speed, you have to unlock the tracks. And yeah, it'll be a lot of effort, unless you can copy and paste a save file into the Switch, but I don't know how that would work. But that would be an ideal run, if you get some time saved from that menu. Unfortunately, this is not very competitive. I think I'm the only person who's done a run of this category. Mr. Mean Moustache, who was here earlier, has done a run of Championship instead of time attack mode, which is a bit different. There's the AI. They rubber band really badly. They can be really annoying. If you bump into them, they can spin you out and just kill all your speed. So instead, I just opted to play a category that doesn't have RNG. I was really close. I pretty much just like bumped straight into that, the side of that platform. But thankfully, it led me onto it instead of against it. So yeah, this track is really fun. There's a lot of boosting going on. If you hit all the boost orbs, you can keep boosting like almost the entire duration of this track. It's pretty crazy. And there we go, boost to the ends. So this menu, I'm just kind of snake through it, go to the side, down, left, down, right, down, left, down. That's just the optimal way to get through these. Which is not actually what my PB did, because my splits are the intended order, sort of. So this is going to be slightly faster in that aspect, but it's probably not going to be faster in the performance aspect, to be completely honest. Although, honestly, I'm not doing too badly at the moment. Pretty happy with how this is going. This track was also in Fast Racing Neo, and it had a pretty crazy shortcut. Like, you could jump in between his buildings and land, like, a bit later on. I believe that was also fixed in Fast Racing Neo version 1.2. Maybe. I don't recall exactly. But yeah, it's definitely fixed in this version, unfortunately. This game really does not want you to do shortcuts, and yet a few still do exist, so I'll show off, I think, 2 or 3 of them. For the most part, it's just like optimal driving and hitting these boost orbs in the air as much as possible. There we go, landed on both of them. That's especially nice. Unfortunately, skipping over the platform that has a lot of boost orbs. But that's quite alright. So I'm just gonna do one more lap of this. Host, if you want to plug something, go right ahead.
All right. It's great timing because we just got a donation from Noodlebox of worth of heart euro. Jelly, please demonstrate some safe sneezing and coughing techniques for everyone. Kappa.
Thank you, Noodlebox. I've seen you in chat a lot. Thank you for sticking around, watching the marathon. So yeah, hopefully I don't get confused at any point about if I have to go left down the list or right, um, and end up skipping tracks, because that would be kind of unfortunate. I do notice that my estimate is 50 minutes, which is not intended. It's meant to be an hour and 15, I think I originally put. That might be a remnant from the F-Zero Climax run, because we manually did some changing in the stuff. Yeah, it's meant to be 1 hour and 15 minutes, because my PB is like 1 hour and 10 minutes. So it'd be crazy to go for 20-minute PB in this game. Thank you for changing that so quickly. Shoutouts to Tech Team for being awesome. And audio team, and hosting, everybody, all the volunteers. They're all doing a wonderful job this event. So yeah, those things, those UFO-looking things, they kind of just lift you into the air, which allows you to get some boost orbs in the air, which gives you some extra boost power. And that's what happens when you hit a boost as the wrong color. So that's always something you have to keep in mind. The main thing about this track is that you always want to take the path that has the boost orbs, because boosting is so powerful, and the other side just doesn't quite have enough boost trips to make up for the lack of boost orbs. I believe it's also a thing that low-weight vehicles get more boost per orb than heavy vehicles do. So for Spark, it's especially important to be hitting boost orbs. So this is where we're going to see the first respawn shortcuts. And the way this works, or what makes this work so well, is that you also respawn with half your boost bar. So even though you start accelerating from 0 again, you do it very quickly. We just respawn, or we just die there, respawn a bit further on with some boosts, and there we go. It's a small time save, but it's a worthwhile one. Generally, the community isn't a big fan of skips. Then again, most of the community is online, and people just want to have a fair race, and like not everybody knows all the shortcuts. So generally, I only do these in actual speedruns and not in online play. I'm not necessarily sure if that was worth it, because I still had half my energy bar anyway. But whatever, we did it, so. So I'm pressing the Y button to switch my color, and that's something I always kind of have to keep in mind. I have to know what's coming up, because you can't always see which color the upcoming boost trip is going to be. So you kind of just have to know. Like this one, at the start you'll see me go into this as blue, so that was kind of unfortunate. There's also a different mode in this game called Hero Mode, which is a lot more like F-Zero. So when you drive over those boost trips, as the right color, it actually refills your boost meter, which is your health meter in that game mode, not in this one. The thing about it is that the tracks are also reversed, which is very confusing when you're used to these. And you take a lot of damage from hitting walls, so ideally it would be faster, but unfortunately with all the wall hitting, you just lose a lot of energy. You do also start with a full energy bar, because otherwise you would die in one hit, so you can start boosting right away, which is a nice bonus. But yeah, it's just a lot harder of a game mode, and I have the normal tracks in my head, not the reverse versions, and that would be hella confusing to get them mixed up. So this track doesn't have a lot of boost orbs, unfortunately. It has some here. Also, a death trap right there. If you hit that straight on, you're exploding. You can also jump over the rail sometimes. That's always fun. Yeah. Generally, since your boost takes some time to accelerate up to full speed, you want to combine it with a boost trip. So either after exiting a boost trip, if you're already at a high speed, you want to start boosting at that point, or you want to time your boost in such a way that it runs out as you're entering a boost trip. But that takes some track knowledge, it takes some planning, like how long is this boost gonna last me? But right there, slightly too early, otherwise I could have changed that. And there's also these obstacles right here, those poles in the middle of the road. There's a lot of obstacles, and these are stationary. There's also moving obstacles, and tracks that have that are real pain. Shoutouts to Kamagori City. You'll see that later on in the run. It's a nightmare. Also Iceland. Because Iceland is a cylinder track, and as if a cylinder track wasn't bad enough, there are spiders moving all over it, like robotic spiders, and they just... They're a pain. Just trust me.
Felissa, do you have time for a donation?
We do have time for a donation.
Okay, great. There was a €50 donation from Nikki Otto Saxophony. Donation incentive, Dabaroni's Choice. So that is jelly. And with that, we actually hit the 7,000 euros made.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
In exchange, he got a dab from Captain Obvious, so...
Can verify that he dabbed. Captain, come on camera. Dab on camera.
He just did. He was sitting behind you.
People didn't see it, come on. No? Okay. Maybe later. Okay, I'll take it. So yeah, right here you have these tornadoes. They kind of make you shake around. They don't do much otherwise. You'll also have seen me fly up here. I forgot just how tight this turn is. Alright, so once again, some... Did he do it? I didn't see it. Yeah, there's some boost orbs in the air. Always collect those. Unfortunately, missed all of the boosts right there, but that's quite okay. I actually need to be saving boost for this part. Landing here is like super slow. But I keep forgetting. I'm so boost happy. I just want to boost all the time. And right there, I actually let my boost run out for a bit, like while I was driving on the energy strip. And then continued boosting, as if I never released it. Just saving a tiny bit of energy in the process. Okay, that was not ideal because of my boost mismanagement and the death, of course.
Spark Unlimited.
Yeah, this game has a lot of tracks. I think originally it had like 24, and now it has like 32, if I'm not mistaken. With the remix updates. Something along those lines. This track is actually kind of interesting while also being a massive pain, because... Okay, you see these fans right here? If you don't know how to handle them, they will mess you up, they'll throw you off the track. Thankfully, you can just kind of side boost through them. But if at any point you give in to the wind, like if you think you've overdone it on the steering, like into the wind, and you go with the wind, it'll mess you up. Like that's the go sign for the fans to just throw you off the track. Never do that. Like worst case scenario, you just kind of stop tapping that button and hope that you don't fly up into the fans, but yeah, you don't want to give in to the winds. It's bad. There's one more track which has these fans. Those are even worse, because there's longer sections of them. Actually, no, this one's pretty bad. Yeah. Never mind. As long as you boost through them, they're usually pretty much fine, but I still don't like them. Once again, try to... Okay, that time I didn't quite land on top of the orb. I believe the other path had some boost orbs earlier on, but I believe this path is slightly shorter and it still has some boost orbs. If I recall correctly, it is optimal. So, on to the next track. Scorpio. This is the first track from Fast Racing Neo. A very difficult one at that. You'll see soon enough why it's so difficult. Because if you look at the minimap, it looks easy, right? It kind of is. except for one specific obstacle, and the fact that the boost orbs are in kind of awkward locations sometimes. Like, it's hard to hit all of those. So, hey, you see these fans? I mistimed my boost. Normally you would make it through there, but...
I honestly did not see that fan.
Yeah, I wish I did earlier, but it's too late now. So yeah, those are a pain, and on lap 1 they're generally pretty predictable if you don't mess up, but after that there's always going to be some variance in your time, and then it's hard to, like, you can't really predict where they are unless you play this track like so much that you like can feel it, but otherwise, yeah. You kind of just have to respond quickly to them, which is hard when the screen is like blurred and you're going super fast and all that good stuff. So that time I did land on the boost orb, so that's a nice bit of extra boost, which means we can boost all the way through here. There's a nice bit of boosting at a high speed. Try to land on those to quickly deal with deceleration from landing. And I'm going. Now, this game is very similar to Fast Racing Neo. I believe the main thing is that Fast Racing Neo at higher top speeds by default and a bit slower boosting. But in this game, boosting is like the main thing that's going to make you go fast. Your normal top speed is not impressive by any means. That game also had side dashing, so you could always be at your top speed or even a bit beyond it, I believe. It's been a while since I've done any runs of that. I played it a bit at release, and then they also released some DLC for it, which I never ended up getting because I still have the old version. The old, really glitchy version that has all the respawn shortcuts. Like, Fast Racing Neo speedrunning is basically like, okay, you go forward, you go backwards, and then you respawn because you're going backwards for a few seconds, and then you're at the end of the lap. It just works. Don't ask me why. This game also has a bit of an interesting checkpoint system, but they did improve upon it with the patches. Version 1.0 also had a pretty decent amount of shortcuts here. This, I believe, is one of the DLC tracks from Fast Racing Neo. They are a lot more interesting than the default tracks. It's a lot less going straight and more these crazy like F-Zero kind of designs where you go in like upside down, corkscrews, like weird turns. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, in this game you don't turn quite as sharply as you do in F-Zero, but I kind of had to accommodate for that with more straightforward tracks. Also, the camera has trouble keeping up sometimes, so you're looking at your vehicle from the side or like a weird angle. It can be a bit disorienting. You kind of get used to it, unless you get seasick easily, in which case it kind of just sucks.
Felissa, would you have time for another donation?
Yes, go ahead.
Alright, we just met the Pico 8 incentive for the Celeste speedrun, and with that also the DAP incentive for Captain Obvious. And that's all thanks to Nikki Alto Saxophony with a donation of €21 towards the Pico incentive and the DAP incentive. So yeah, Captain, it's time to DAP. On camera.
On camera, come on, dude. Let the people see what they don't want to see. No, come on. Yeah. Thank you, Captain. What a hero. So yeah, this track is Hangar Games. Pretty punny. It's actually a really fun track because, especially when you can land on those boost orbs, there's a lot of boosting through this track. Especially if you manage your boost properly, so that you cannot be boosting with your energy on the boost strips, but they are not very long, so it's kind of difficult to time it. I also missed all of those, which is kind of a bummer, because I do need some boost coming up to land on the following boost orbs. There we go. Please. No, I didn't land on them. I had just a bit too little boost. Or boosted too soon, whatever you want to call it. I'd say this track is fairly straightforward. I do kind of like it, even though it is straightforward, just because of the jumps. Having to land on the boost orbs really does add some depth to it. This way, Kamigori City, oh god. So, yes, this track has big robot spiders. I don't like them. So there you can see one. You can hit his legs. And if you do, that's a bit of a bummer, because that's an insta-kill. So you do have to be very wary of where they are. I don't really like know where they are. I kind of just respond to them as I see them. Like, I don't know all the cycles, like exactly where they're going to be. But yeah, it does have some nice boost orbs. That was close. If you manage to hit them all, there's a lot of boosting to be done in this track, which kind of saves it. Also, I was meant to be hitting this boost, or this jump plate, because you can barely hit that one boost orb. The other ones, I think you can only get in lower speeds, because you get a bit more height from jumps to compensate for lower speeds. So you can still make all the jumps. There we go. Storm Coast, another fast racing Neo track that I quite like. It's super pretty. Like, I really love the rain effect. Also, a very just fast track. A lot of boosting. Not the most challenging track. But at this point, that's kind of what I need. Keep a tiny bit of boost to recover from the landing, and try to hit 2 of those orbs at the same time. They're a bit apart, but you can barely do it. And here it doesn't matter, because you get full refill there anyway, thanks to the aerial boost orbs. Didn't land on those. But that's really the big thing, is landing on boost orbs to keep your boost going as much as possible. Other than that, hitting the boost orbs that are a bit further apart is very important in this track specifically. You can kind of turn your vehicle sideways, but you have to be careful about controlling yourself, because you might just end up drifting too far to the side and missing the boost orbs completely. There we go, land on that one. Oh yeah, if you hit a jump plate when you're not the right color, you'll go straight through it, which can actually be beneficial in some cases. In this case, it would just kill you, which would be a bit of a bummer. Oh, I didn't get a full refill there. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of stuff to say. Like, I've pretty much explained all the tricks there are to going fast. I guess when I'm turning, I'm also using the side dashing technique like this. I'm just spamming the straight button in the direction that I want to go. And that allows you to turn just a bit sharper without losing as much speed. It's pretty minor, but it does help quite a bit. Minor, but it helps quite a bit. Whatever. It's useful. Do it. So, Iceland. I mentioned this earlier. I don't like this track. There's a cylinder, right? It can't be on all sides at all times. There should be some boost orbs there. No, I'm misremembering. That's okay. And there's these nice little bumps here. With each bump, the boost orb shift a bit further to the left, so that one's pretty easy to remember. There's those walls. Those are like the worst thing. Especially in the upcoming part, because right here you want to be boosting. Here. But then it's very difficult to stay on the right side and not be shifting off to the side and ending up in either the pillar or the wall. Oh, it was more to the left. Dang it, I just saw them. But yeah, this track also used to have a crazy shortcut, or I think it still does, but it's like extremely difficult. I've not been able to do it at the very least. Yeah, this one has smaller spiders walking around, and again, very difficult to keep track of them, especially when some of them are hidden behind the track. Oh, that's unfortunate. I like barely landed with my wing on the wall. Yeah, there's the boost orbs I was looking for. Only 3 of them, so it's not a big deal that I missed them before, but prefer not to. Yeah, I do quite like how marathon safe this run is. Like, even if you die a million times, your time won't be too bad because you can just respawn. Yeah, PB is a bit more optimal because it takes a lot more risks. It manages to hit a lot more boost orbs while avoiding the spiders. Okay, this track has a respawn shortcut as well. It's gonna look kind of silly, but it's good. And well, there we go. It actually used to respawn you a bit further onto the track. That kind of got patched, except it didn't get fixed. It just got changed in the patch to be a bit less effective. And I missed those aerial boost orbs. But I hit most of those, that's nice. It's just like a thin line of boost orbs, so you have to be like just in the right place, going at the right speed to make it through that turn. Like, running this game optimally is quite a challenge. Doing it like okay is like you kind of just play the game. Like, if you see one of the top players like do individual level speedruns, they get like almost every boost orb that is in their path. Like, if you can hit it without losing time, they will hit it and make it work. Oh yeah, sometimes the little effect around your ship doesn't appear when you're boosting. Not entirely sure what causes it. Whoa, I actually bounced there. Not sure what made me bounce back up, but that's okay. Ow. Glad that didn't kill me, at least. Usually bouncing straight into something kills you, but that seemed to be an exception. Alpine Trust. There's a lot of fast racing Neo tracks in this game. I think there are 12 Neo tracks. The others are Fast Racing Neo base game or DLC. So basically this game is for people who didn't play the original or they just want to keep playing online, because this game has a bit of an online community. It's not big, but usually if you ask people for matches, there will be like 1 or 2 people who can join. Every now and then there's like a full lobby of 8 people, and that's pretty cool. Complete chaos though, I will say. It's like people are spinning each other out, and you know. So in this track, it's sometimes beneficial to not be in the right color when hitting the jump plates. But at the same time, you do get a nice speed boost from the jump plates. Just in the air, you'll lose it again. It kind of depends on the jump plate. It depends if you have boost or not. Like, this one is actually better to go straight through, like this. Whereas this one, I'm just gonna take the jump, because I wouldn't be able to boost through it. This one also definitely faster, because it's at a weird angle. If you take the jump, it'll launch you fairly high up, whereas if you don't, you can go straight back to the track. And you really do want to be on the ground. There's also ice on this track. Usually it's not that big of a deal. If you stay on it for too long, it can definitely mess with you. Ooh, I almost landed on the rail. That would have killed me. Here, if you just stay on the sides, the eye doesn't really do anything to you because you're in it for a short time. Okay, I bounced off the wall. That's pretty cool. Stay hydrated. Also, stay hygienated. Very important. So yeah, this track has a lot of moving obstacles, which is kind of a pain. It has those things that go left and right. Also a tiny bit of lag there. That's okay. For the most part, this game is like a smooth 60. Which is very much appreciated at these speeds, because otherwise you would not be able to see anything that's coming up. There's the two moving obstacles. Generally, if you're on the sides, you're pretty okay, but yeah, it's something to be aware of. 1, 2. And I missed all of those. I thought the turn would be a tiny bit sharper, so I'd hit the outer ones, but... Alright, let's see where the panels are. Okay. Generally, you can respond to them, because they're bright red in mostly green tracks, so they stand out enough for you to see them at a distance. Missing a lot of boost torps on this track, unfortunately. So yeah, as long as you're boosting, it doesn't matter if you hit a boost pad while being the wrong color. Also, in the original game, the WiiWare one, Fast Racing League, switching colors used to take up your boost orbs. Like, it would take, I think, 2 boost orbs. Like, instead of having this bar, you would just have, like, straight-up orbs. And yeah, it would take 2 of them. So if you mess up and accidentally pick the wrong color, then you have to switch back, then you're losing out on a lot of speed. Thankfully, they removed that, because I tend to, like, misread what's coming up, and then I panic and switch colors a lot. I forgot what this track looked like for a moment. That's okay. There's also meteors. The meteors can actually kill you, by the way. Always unfortunate when that happens. That's not the greatest. And Fast Racing Neo, in the while you're in like the floating sections, your speed was actually like uncapped. So if you just like drifted to the side, you could actually hit like crazy speeds. Unfortunately, it wasn't very useful because you'd be off the track, but yeah, it was kind of interesting to see you hit like 2,000 miles per hour in this game, or in Neo. in the air, you'll actually... Oh, okay. I was looking at my speedometer. Don't do that. But yeah, in the air, it seems like your speed is still uncapped since I was going like 1500s, which is not like normal. That being said, it might not always be the best idea to be boosting all the way through space. But usually it's like pretty good. I also like it when the meteors lag your game. It's pretty good. Not my best run of this track. I think I was meant to go down there. Probably. I'll double check all the tracks afterward, see if I did all of them. If I end up going like too far under estimate, which I think I've done all of them, so it should be fine. I hope you've all been enjoying this racing block. I never used to say that I was into racing games, but that's like the main thing I run nowadays. Fast futuristic racing games, specifically. But yeah. That's like all I've run in this marathon. Like all 3 of my runs have been fast futuristic racing games, so that's pretty cool. Like I'm going over them at the exact opposite color, but I was boosting, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, in this game it's important to know what is coming up, because you can't always rely on your vision because it gets so blurred. I wish you could turn down the blur effect just a bit. Like, it looks cool, it looks fast, but sometimes I do appreciate being able to see ahead of me. Yeah, okay, that's right.
Spark Unlimited.
And this is one of the tracks that was like really broken. You would go backwards, like while I was on that bridge, like you would go backwards, respawn, and then just finish the lap pretty much. There's also a version where you would go off the left side here and just like crash into the finish line, and it would count as opposed to crashing right there and it being bad. Oops, I forgot that I was meant to go left, because there's a tiny little intended shortcut that has some extra boost orbs for me. Ooh. Meant to slow down just a bit there. Yeah, I tried to grab 2 orbs in the air there before heading on to the left side for the shortcuts. Right there, you just want to chain those boost strips together as cleanly as possible. Like switch colors at the right time, strafe to the side at the right time, and yeah. 3 orbs in the air, that's actually even better. Because 2 is just barely not enough to keep you going at like full boost speed. I actually really like this track. Not necessarily because of how it plays, but because of how it looks. Like, it's so... Like, I really like the futuristic, like, dark with, like, bright lights kind of style. The track itself isn't bad either. If I'm not mistaken, you can actually be the wrong color for that jump and still boost over the gap, but I'm not sure I want to take the risk. I guess I might as well. By the way, I keep saying color. The game officially calls it phase shifting, if I'm not mistaken. You just have two phases, but they're different colors. It's easy enough to say that. Like, not everybody's gonna understand when they first see this game that when I say phase, that I mean being yellow or orange or blue. It's quite okay. Like, I don't even see chat, but I can already see someone mentioning it, so just want to be sure. Oh yeah, it was meant to be the other color there, which actually did work out, as I remember, so that's good. It has been a while since I ran this on Hypersonic. I've mostly been playing online for the tournament that we have going on.
Spark Unlimited.
It's just like 2v2, like team races. Unfortunately, because of how busy everyone is and like people stop playing, it's very difficult to organize matches.
Felissa, would you have time for 2 donations?
Oh yes, go ahead.
All right. We have an anonymous €10 donation saying, I can't even think as fast as this game is being run. Which I kind of understand, but thank you for your donation. There's also a €5 donation saying, hey Felissa, good luck on the fast racing, but racing is boring. When is your 50-hour run?
No.
Yeah, when are you doing that again?
Maybe next summer. Okay, I said I would never do it again, but like, I want to improve that run. Most of you probably don't know what they're talking about. Who was that donation from, by the way? Did it say a name?
Sadly, it was anonymous.
Anonymous, okay. But yeah, I ran Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain 100%, which is an absolutely crazy run. Nobody had done it before. I just wanted to be the first. I did a decent amount of routing, not as much as I would have liked, so there was still a lot of room for improvements. A lot of it was just improv. But yeah, that game has a lot of content. Over the 50 hours, I did also have 4 hours of sleep. So that's not 50 hours of straight playing, it's like 46 hours, well, 44 hours of gameplay, 4 hours of sleeping, and then some breaks and eating and stuff. It was an interesting experience. I wouldn't recommend this, by the way. Your body's not happy with that little sleep. My voice was also very much not happy talking for so long. At some point I just had to turn off my microphone and just focus on playing the game and, you know, just slouching a bit. Because I was sitting up the entire time, like talking to my microphone, and that just, it's very heavy on the body after a certain amount of time. Especially when your chair is not the best, so that was an experience. I thought I pressed the button there. Apparently I didn't, so rip. This track also looks really cool. Also used to have a really cool shortcut in Fast Racing Neo, but well, it wasn't like super cool. You're kind of just like, okay, I'll mention it when we get there, if I remember where exactly you drive off. I believe it's shortly after this. I don't remember. Either way, at some point you drive off the left side, you crash into a rock, and then you kind of just go to the finish line, I think. I don't know. Fast Racing Neo version 1.0 exploits are pretty crazy. Also, it doesn't matter if I'm kind of grinding into the walls there, as long as I'm boosting. Kind of sucks because everybody can see what my PB is and how much worse I did than it. But I mean, I guess it's a nice comparison for seeing what is actually possible in this game. Oh, heck, I missed those. This track is kind of cool, but you could also go too fast at one point. Like coming up, there are these jumps, and if you boost all the way through them, like you could, because there's aerial boost orbs, like you could have a full boost meter, you kind of just like overshoot and hit one of the buildings. Not very good. Right there, I kind of let up the boost for a moment, because if I just hold it, then yeah, that would probably kill me. That's how I've lost races online before, just like being careless. I don't really have much else to say at this point. Kind of just driving fast-ish. What are we doing? 51 minutes. All right. I think we're getting up to the final row of tracks after the current one. Maybe one more. Should be one more, actually. Yeah. Right side. Oh, actually, I think... Does it end with Troku? I think it does. I don't know. It's been a while.
3, 2, 1.
Right there, you kind of just want to spam your straight button and try to hit 2 orbs like on every line. That'll keep you going as fast as possible. Just like right there. And then try not to miss all of those. Yeah, it can be a bit disorienting and difficult to make the right line when you're at such an angle. Like, I'm pretty much on the top left of the screen there. It's kind of disorienting. You get used to it, but it's kind of like if you played F-Zero GX, Red Gazelle also has one of these cameras. Like, that game has such intricate stats that they even have a separate stat for how responsive the camera is. And for Red Gazelle, that stat is just low. So when you play it on a cylinder track, it also has trouble keeping up, and then you'll see your vehicle like nearly upside down or like on the side of the screen. It kind of reminds me of that. And then someone made a ROM hack that changed all the stats, and it made it even worse. Like, you could actually make the camera lag so far behind that you're literally upside down, and then you flip over, and the camera just freaks out. It's really funny.
Felissa, do you have time for an donation?
Yes, please.
All right. We have an anonymous €5 donation just saying Dan H. I'm honestly not sure what that emote is, but thank you for the €5 donation. I'd also like to quickly plug that we are currently raising money for the Dutch Cancer Society, which is a nationwide organization committed to fight cancer while aiming for more cure and a higher quality of life for those already battling the disease. 95% of your donations will go to the Dutch Cancer Society, and the other 5% will help improve BSG and stream quality.
I'm just gonna keep talking about Fast Racing Neo. This is also a Fast Racing Neo track that was like super broken. So what you would do at the start of the race, you would collect these orbs. You would go onto the hill on the left side. You would bounce yourself up to the UFO like ship thingy that's flying there. you would respawn, and then you'd be like ahead. It was kind of silly. Also, you have to be careful here, because there are rocks in the desert. If you drive into one of them, that happens. Case in point. Generally, you want to stay on the track as much as possible, or like know where you can slightly cut it. Yeah, it looked kind of silly doing that shortcut in Fast Racing Neo, because you do get launched like way up there. Like you could almost touch a UFO. A ship, not really a UFO, huh? Just a ship. Just always called it that for some reason. And there we go. That's Sunhara Desert. Okay, 2 more rows of tracks, so 8 more. Most of the upcoming tracks are actually new tracks, so there will be less talking about Fast Racing Neo. Don't worry, I forgot to do my start boost. So this is how slow you normally start, and then we kind of just side dash to make up for the slow acceleration of this machine. There's one vehicle that's also very lightweight and has like crazy acceleration, but it doesn't have the best speed, like top speed or boost. While it's extremely nice to use, it's very responsive. It's just not very good. Like it's not the most optimal choice if you want to go fast. Although it is very popular for like new racers or just like generally when you're trying to play for fun. Not that speedrunning isn't fun, but you know, just like casually going through the game. Right here we try to avoid the lasers. Those are insta-kill, as you might expect, because everything in this game is... But yeah, generally a death will cost you about like 3 seconds. Depending on if you had like energy to keep boosting or not. Although you can also like fall off the track and you'll be falling for a bit and then you respawn. Those are a bit slower. There's actually 2 ways to respawn. You either crash, like your vehicle that gets destroyed, or you just are out of bounds for too long and then the game's like, hey, you're gonna take a shortcut, I'm gonna pull you back. And those can also take a while. I believe the same thing happens if you go backwards for a while. At least that's the way it works in Neo. I think that's still the way it works. Yeah, we can try it out, but I'll be losing a few seconds. So I mentioned before, there was another track that has these fans. This is it. I don't like this track very much. Like, if you don't know about side boosting, like spamming the shoulder button, then that part is pretty rough. I believe there is a jump you can do here to get over to this side a bit sooner. But generally, I would just end up crashing into the wall rather than lifting off. So, not very safe. Ooh, that was really close. They almost threw me off the track. I actually think left is a bit faster if you don't go for the shortcut. It is, because there's a lot of boost. I almost forgot. Okay, let's see if we can get this boost orb. Nope, just barely landed too soon. Please don't. See, I was actually strafing to the right there, entering the wind. And that's like the worst thing you can be doing. It's like you instantly get shoved so far to the side. I'm pretty sure you can land on top of that boost orb, but it's pretty far away. Oh gosh, this track is pretty challenging. So basically there's these rocks like all over the place, and you could actually hit the ceiling rocks at some point because of the jumps. But you want to take the jumps because, well, boost orbs, as per usual. Right here, there's the first one. This one is perfectly safe. There you have to be a bit mindful of the rocks, but otherwise they shouldn't be an issue. This one's kind of weird because you're at an angle. Whoa, vehicle was freaking out there. That's interesting. Mostly this one that's tricky. Like you have to go between that bridge and the rock at the top. And then this one is at a weird angle. You kind of have to learn to maneuver around it. It used to mess me up a lot, but now I better understand how the air physics work. Having said that, I'm gonna mess it up now. Obviously. That's what happens. You can actually land a bit sooner there and instead take... that was not a high jump at all. And instead use the boost strips, but I kind of just like to keep boosting and go straight forward in the air. That's a shame. I also almost pressed my phase shift button. Like, I actually thought I did press it, but then it didn't happen, so that's a good thing. Alright, let's see if I can actually get this second jump properly this time. Oops. That slows you down so quickly. It's actually pretty crazy. There we go. And once again, the final jump. Hope we get that. Okay, you can actually hit those first boost orbs as well, but you're hitting it at such a weird angle. It generally tends to not work out. Sendai Outpost. This track is kinda dull. Actually, I guess there's some pretty neat parts to it, but overall, I don't much care for it. There's not a lot of boosting either, so you kind of just take the bottom path here. Again, no boosting right here. Although this part is kind of interesting because you have this going on. And then you can kind of try to land on those boost orbs right there. And right there, you kind of just need to know the pattern to the phase shifting. Okay, don't use up all my boost because I need it to land here. It didn't die that time. That's good. Start turning in the air, otherwise you'll overshoot it. Whoa, okay, that's interesting. I've never seen that before. Pretty cool though. Alright, got some nice doubles. Again, there's so much scenery that can just like instantly kill you. I almost missed the track right there. That would have been bad. Alright, so we're just gonna finish this. And with that, we are on to the final 4 tracks. Again, like 15-minute estimate would not have worked here. That would have been impossible, actually. Like, I don't think even Taz could get sub 50 minutes. I mean, there are a few skips that I don't do, and maybe there's some Taz-only skips, who knows, but yeah. Real time, that would never work out. It's just too many tracks. Actually, it would have worked out if you were playing the old version, because that has less tracks. By the way, that update that I talked about, the remix update, it is a free update. Like, you don't have to pay for it. So you get some more fast racing Neo tracks in this game. So a nice bit of side dashing just to kind of regain my speed since I didn't have any boost power. And I missed all of those. That's a shame. That's like an easy 2 orbs to land on, and I missed them. Oh well. But yeah, the second half of this track doesn't have a lot of boost orbs, like, at all, so it ends up being a bit dull. There we go. Actually got the orb that time. I tried to keep boosting as much as possible until my boost runs out, and then whatever I gather here, which is not as much as I would have liked, I use for the upcoming jumps. I like how there's a slight bit of lag every time I hit that jump. I'm just gonna grind the wall, because why not? If I just spam the strike button, it's actually, like, not slower to do that. Pretty sure. Maybe it's, like, the tiniest bit slower. Or faster, who knows? Regardless, not really any amount that matters, RTA. Oh yeah, if you remember Civil Raceway, we kind of skipped all the back and forth going thingies. So now we get to actually see them and drive over them. I actually kind of like this track. Mostly because of this part right here. If you have boost, then this part is pretty nice. I only got one of those. That's a bit of a shame. Yeah, you kind of have to work with whatever cycle you've got and then launch yourself upward if you need to, just to get enough height to gather those boost orbs. And I didn't land on those, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's okay, because we got the full refill afterward anyway. Also, not entirely sure how much more energy you get from hitting a boost orb in the air as opposed to on the ground, but it's a very significant amount. Cool. Yeah, this game has some really nice music as well. Like, I wouldn't listen to it on its own, but within the game, like, it works very well.
Vanessa, do you have time for a donation?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. There's once again a donation from Nikki Alto Saxophony of 30 euros. Felicia's incentive choice. Felicia Dab, come on, do it. There you go!
Dabbing for money.
I hope you're happy, Nikki.
got me at a good time. I would not have been able to do that during any of the tracks.
That's why I tried to time it after the finish.
Good call. Yeah, this run is kind of long. I wish I had more to say about it, but I hope everybody's enjoying it anyway. I hope people can keep up with the speed. I know it's very hard to look at when you're not used to high-speed racing games. I kind of lived them, so it was easy enough for me to like get used to seeing, like knowing what's going on even despite the boosting. Oh gosh. As I mess up. I keep feeling my phone vibrate and I know I'm getting Discord messages. I think I might know who it's from. What did you say that donation was from again? Nikki?
Nikki Alto Saxophony.
Okay, that's a bit different than I expected, but that works. I wish I didn't die here. Also, the fire is insta-kill, by the way. Avoid it. Alright, it's really quite slow. Somehow very close to PB. Apparently my PB here is bad. Onto the... Apparently we're using Falcon Capital, so now you'll see one of the heavy machines in action. I did not mean to pick this. Also the name is kind of punny, since this game is inspired by F-Zero. So yeah, this vehicle has a higher top speed, but it's a lot clunkier to handle. Like, it's a big freaking brick. So heavy. And it doesn't boost quite as well. It gets less boost energy from orbs, and it's just slower. It's also freaking wide when you're used to seeing the tiny spark. Which I guess is nice for picking up more orbs, but for the most part you don't need the extra width. Yeah, normally I'd be able to boost here a lot more, but you know, we're at 112. Good. I'm glad I said 115 for my estimates. So we're on to the final lap, so time is coming up in like 20 something seconds. Oops. Did not mean to switch to blue there. Or whatever. My brain is kind of failing. I'm glad this is my last run, because I should probably go back to bed, to be honest. Ow. Oh yeah, those thankfully aren't insta-kill, but they still slow you down a hell of a lot. Oh, time. Please try again. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you enjoy the next run. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Felissa, for this exhilarating run of Fast RMX. That concludes our racing block, and we're now going into the platforming block with Rockman CX Advent, run by the Alpis. And setting everything up. We'll be running a few ads in between, so please stay tuned.